This podcast could potentially have adult language, adult themes, definitely drinking, and possibly the possibility of sexual content. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, Drinking with Authors fans. We have some pretty big news from your host here, Erica Lance. We are moving to change the format of the show to be one episode. So there's a few episodes that were recorded the old way that we're doing the new way, and that's what you're listening to. So thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we love having you as fans. On to the show. Welcome to Drinking with Authors, the podcast. You know that because you're listening to it. I'm your host, Erica Lance. My co-host today is the amazingly purple today, Bo Lake. You're very purple today. And our guest is Michele Packard. Welcome.
Thank you.
So let's talk about what we're drinking today. I actually have to do my ginger shot that I just realized I had on my desk. I'm going to do that in a minute. That's non-alcoholic, but forgot to do it, and that'll be bad warm. So out of some of our Drinking with Authors swag, I am doing a screwdriver. Look how boring I am today. Ooh. It is orange juice and vodka. That's a screwdriver, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I went to bartending school. I should know that. Anyway, whatever. Okay. Bo, what are you drinking?
I am drinking very cold at this point, coffee.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Been working all morning. Huh? Yeah, it's been a busy morning.
I understand that. See, I just thought I had shut off Discord and it's coming out of nowhere. I don't even know where it is now. It's literally, oh, there it is. Okay, hold on. There, I got it now. Okay. I can't have nice things. Michele, what are you drinking?
Well, I wasn't sure what to opt for. It's 11 o'clock here. So I was going to do the coffee. I thought, I've already had a couple cups of that. Thought if I do wine, it's going to put me down. So I'm doing a Cosmo Martini.
Ooh.
And I already told my husband, don't plan on me making dinner. I'm more than likely going to be napping later. So that's what
I love all of that. Oh my gosh, that is so much fun. And it's true. I mean, that's what I figure orange juice, it is 11 a.m. It kind of counts as a breakfast food.
Well, but that might too. Got cranberry, so I figured that was breakfast related.
Exactly. I like the way you think. Okay, so for the audience at large that may not know you, what do you write?
I write probably the best way to term it is a comedic thriller series. I grew up reading all the books that my dad did with, Clancy or Woods and Lee Child and, all that stuff. So all, military, CIA stuff. And really enjoyed it. But I wanted something with a little bit more humor to it. So a little bit more personal. So
I love that.
All about, government conspiracies and, twisting on what people, talk about and think about. So.
Which is incredibly fun because, man, it is easy to go down that conspiracy.
It really is.
Yeah.
I have a friend that works for the CIA and she was in intelligence. That's all I'm going to say about her. But it's interesting to talk to her about some of the things that you read and you see. And then she's like, cool. Can you not be that person? And I'm like, fine. Just wondering, aliens under the White House. And so, not that I know that she has the clearance to know that, but I do see how easy it is to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
We're going to Scooby-Doo for a minute and go back in time. When did you begin? Because you said your dad and stuff. Did you start writing at a very young age or?
Oh, no. Oh no. No, not really. I wrote stuff probably in my 20s, but it was more just personal reflection stuff. Wasn't anything that I wanted to be Barbara Walters, and I realized that I probably mumbled too much and don't enunciate. So then I probably went more to writing, thinking maybe that would be easier. And really didn't do anything until my kids left to go to college. And I thought, what am I going to do next? So started about 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So how much have you written in that time?
I just launched my 5th book in the thriller series. I got a nonfiction book coming out, and I did a children's book that I did for my kids. And I thought it was a cute little nighttime story that they could have for down the road. And they swore that never happened for our nighttime ritual. And I was like, every night we did this. And so I might have to make other kids out of that book because my kids are out.
I love that. That's funny. So, okay. So let's talk about so you chose this genre because you wanted to put a spin on something that you grew up reading, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I don't write this kind of thriller. I don't, so let's talk about the writing process a little bit with this.
Okay.
And then I'm going to let Bo actually ask some questions. I know, audience, big shock here. Bo, prepare yourself. But
okay.
Did you do any classes or anything on writing? Because I feel like some genres are easier than others in a way. And crime thrillers, it's a little bit different because you have to breadcrumb the crap out of getting to the end of the book, right?
Yeah. Well, and I wouldn't say that mine's written in a first person observational style. And when I first wrote the book, it was just, me seeing if I could do it. And of course, most of my feedback when I was querying, people, they're like, you gotta, show, don't tell. And I'm like, she's telling a story, it's first person for a reason. So no, I started taking classes after the first book. I come from a long line of military family. Everybody in my family's been in the military. My son's, you were talking about intelligence. My son's in intelligence, has a clearance. He doesn't tell me anything. My brother was a top guy in the Air Force, doesn't tell me anything. So I always had that, background where infatuation, I should say. So really most of my research just came from myself. And like you talk about getting on those rabbit holes, like we all talk about, if somebody could read our browsers, they'd be going, oh my God. They need help.
No, that's a terrible idea too. Read browsers.
Yeah. So I started going to classes afterwards. I did do some classes in college. And I think that's probably what, I thought maybe in the back of my head, because I remember that one professor going, hey, you're really good about doing this. You should, probably consider this at some point. And of course, I didn't think anything about it at the time. And then later on, I thought, I found that paper. That wasn't too bad. Maybe I should do something with this. So it's been a trial and error process. I've had to go back and learn how to tweak, re-edit, new editors, new covers, and just learn the whole publishing process. So that's kind of it.
Well, that's really cool. Okay, Bo.
I'm not used to you letting me ask questions this early in the game.
Well, I'm sorry for screwing you up.
What is your favorite trope in the crime conspiracy genre?
I don't know. You know what? I don't know if I could say there's one specific. I love the person that's able to figure it out, that's always one step ahead, and that always has a little bit of a catch at the end where you didn't know it. I really, for any genre, and not just crime or thriller or mystery, I can appreciate anybody that writes anything. Just the creativity and being able to put yourself out there. So I really do enjoy reading, everything. And just in terms of thriller mystery in particular, I'm trying to think of just one specific thing. I don't know. I'm going to have to drink more before I can get to that.
What's your least favorite though?
Probably stereotypical woman stuff,
Yeah.
I'm like, really? So off the top of my head, that's all I would say. Probably because I write a female character that's, she's just short of, being Wonder Woman. Why? What is yours?
Oh, gosh. I would agree with you in that a lot of times they're always like, oh, the woman is dumb or doesn't know things or is weak. And I just like that too. It's 2023. Come on.
Let's get with it.
Let's get with the program.
Well, so when we're talking about genres and crime thrillers, so when did your first crime thriller come out?
2018.
Okay. How did you publish it?
I self-published it. And really, because I just thought I'm going to try to do this, and see if I can write a book and see if it's entertaining. And I wrote it specifically for men that were traveling. I traveled all the time. I was always reading, some book while I was on the plane. And I actually wanted the book to be the length that you could read on a long plane ride, or if you're on a day of vacation. Me personally, I don't like reading these books that are this thick. And that take me, not days, but weeks, because you're just like plowing through it. I don't need that many adjectives or adverbs or words to describe the White House. I get it.
Yeah.
So I wrote it for that. And I sent it off to a bunch of men friends and said, hey, what do you think? And they're like, hey, you got a female Jason Bourne here, I said, yeah, she's sexier and she can have a family. And she remembers her name. So
wow, what a concept that is.
I know. So when I started that, then I started querying agents. Like I said, I learned the process completely backwards. And had I gone back, would I change some things? Probably yes. But once I found out is once you publish something, then they don't want it. And my biggest thing for me is they don't want something that's in the 45 to 50,000 word range. They want something that's in the 90 to 120,000 word range. I'm like, no, I don't want something that long. So I created, I don't know, I probably, if I had to guess, 150 agents and publishers. And, you can submit. And it's interesting when they can respond back immediately saying that they don't like it. Like, could you at least read the first line before you reject?
Well, I can go on quite a tangent. Bo will tell you about as a publisher. 'Cause we're publishers. I can go on a tangent about how querying is handled by publishers, because there are some that are doing it absolutely brilliantly, and then there are others that are kind of terrible about it.
Yeah. No, listen, I've had some publishers that respond back that have been great, that said, hey, listen, this is a great concept. We think, you need to be at this range. And by now I'm at my third book. So to me, it's probably even more challenging, because I'd have to query new books versus, old books. But I've been fine with the process that I've done. Like I said, I learned probably the long way, just because I wasn't flippant about it. I just wasn't confident in myself when I started. I thought I'm just testing the waters, Mm-hmm. And then I really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed meeting the people that I've met. And I mean, look, I'm with you fine ladies right now. And no complaints overall.
Well, and I think indie publishing isn't bad. It's really interesting, because going through statistics recently, as I was, when not drinking screwdrivers, I found out that, if you look at the number of books the top 10 major publishers published last year, it was about 50,000 books. That sounds like a lot, right? You go, wow, that's a lot of books, right? That's 5,000 books each, if you just do math, which that's not how it works out, people, but just say hypothetically. Independent publishers, indie authors that publish themselves, and small to medium presses did 2.3 million books in the same time.
Yeah.
So it gives you that, traditional publishing is not it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not where it necessarily is anymore, because they are being outdone by these indie publishers and indie authors that are publishing themselves. And I think it's perfectly respectable, as long as you get your book edited and like that, the important stuff that comes along with publishing a book. Not,
no, I've had to learn to re-edit, recover, and that's probably really, I'd tell anybody that, not only time, but you're going to have resources to contribute to this if you're going to be successful.
Yeah. Do not, unless you actually know graphic design, try to make a cover in paint and put it on your book. Pretty please with sugar on top. Let's not.
Okay. Now, true story. My first cover, because I thought it was cute. Because my whole premise of these books, I mean, I get to the last book, it'll figure out, there'll be one of those, now I get the whole big picture, is what's happening in my daily life. So a lot of the stories that I took into the first book, I might have seen a segment on 60 Minutes, or there might have been something on the local news, or something might have been happening in politics that day. And I kind of interweaved it into the story. But every morning as I was typing on my computer, I saw this one trail going through these trees. Well, that's my first opening scene, because I'm intertwining real events with stuff, that I'm making up in terms of this character. So I thought it was very creative. There's this trail, and this is the first scene. And I realized nobody's going to get that. I quickly realized. But to me, I thought, this is really cute. I like this. So now I have so now it's a collector's edition.
Well, what you just said, I actually love that you just said that. So what you just said is exactly what I tell people about covers all the time.
Yeah.
Is that authors live, breathe, know this story. It is part of their life. It is, so it's kind of like anything that you are good at or that it's really easy for you. And, I did HR in my former life for a long time and did training of people. And the biggest thing I ever found a problem with is it's the little things that you inherently do because the thing that you never even think that you'll have to train somebody on how to do it. Yes. Because it's just part of it. Like you got the big thing, but you don't go, here's this little trick. Here's this thing. Same is true with writing we know our stories. We can talk about this, locket that has so much significance in the story and blah, 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 blah. And then you put the locket on the cover of the book and nobody buys it. Why? Yeah. Because that's not what the genre says the cover of the book should look like. Because fans, especially when you're dealing with a little teeny cover, because a lot of them are electronically buying it. So you get like a 1x2, maybe, if you're lucky. You have to they have to look and go, that's the kind of book I like to read, because we know what the covers of the books we like to read are. Yeah. I wish everybody was more like, ooh, this is a neat cover. What kind of book is this? But that is the exception and not the rule to fans. So,
and I'll tell you, I still would say that I would change. I mean, I just changed covers last year because I went to a program. They're like, hey, you got to do covers. Like you said, you got to do the thumbnails. You're in the thriller genre. And I'm like, I am, but I'm not, right? Because there's a comedic part, it's Die Hard. Think of Die Hard. John Wick with a little Ferris Bueller, type snarky attitude and wisecracking. So everybody says, well, you got to have thrillers. They got to be dark covers. They got to be this. And I'm like, okay, yeah. But if I do that, what's going to happen? The reader's going to read it thinking that they're reading a Brad Thor book. And then they're going to get to mine and go, well, she's a wisecracking, smart-ass, movie quoting, song, lyric, thriller author. And that's what it is. So it's kind of like that. And I'm like, so I'm constantly tweaking now, thinking, okay, what do I do next? How do I do this? But, I think
that's great, though, because you're breaking genres and that's what you have to do. Yeah. Like there wasn't a paranormal romance genre years ago. Like there wasn't. So people started putting, vampires and werewolves or whatever in ghosts into romance. And then all of a sudden it forced, the powers that be that make our little bisect codes that say what genres are to make the genres, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's fantastic because I think the boxes that have been the traditional publishing boxes to put genres in need to be kicked out the window because, I love the kind of books that you write, like you write the stories, but I also love that you put humor because one of the things is sometimes they can get way too serious and way too heavy.
And listen, I give a lot of factual information, whether it be about whatever government organization. But at the same time, nobody wants to read that. That's, reading paint, so you got to have humor about it, So
I agree 100%.
Okay. What's y'all's favorite covers of your own and why?
So it's ironic because one of my favorite covers I'm actually changing So I write horror, but I also write humorous erotica under another name, which is Dahlia Lance. And there's a cover for my book, My Home on Whore Island, that is just the back part of a female in a red bikini but she's got sand on her butt.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love it. I think it is hysterical. And
hold on, I'm looking it up right now.
Okay. That's what we do here. Google our books. So, but that cover is really funny to me, but the genre is going a sort of a little bit of a different route. So I'm going to be trying a different cover on it. That's more, I don't want to say cartoony, but I
like that though.
Yeah, that's it. That's the book.
Okay. Why do you go by a pen name for that?
Because I write horror, and that is humorous erotica, and the fan base is in those two. Not that there can't be fans that cross those two, but they're not really close. Like you take, like thrillers and crimes and horror books, you can probably write both of those, right?
Yeah.
But it's humorous erotica and horror are not necessarily the same fan base. And even though I wish it was a little different, I do get why fans look for an author to be writing in a similar kinds of stories, because you want your fans to buy every story that you write. And if you're so wildly different, and we had another horror author who's a friend of mine named Jeff Strand. He writes humorous horror. It's very gory, but he's got a lot of humor in his books. He wrote a romance book and he put it out under his name. He has one regret or regrets. Was that no regrets tattoos? He wishes he had put it under a pen name.
Yeah,
because his fans were like, "What the fuck is this?" That was literally the reaction from his fans. So it just kind of tells you that maybe that doesn't work quite the way you think it will. So that's why I keep them separate. But at the same time, with that pen name, the Dahlia Lance, I write humorous romance that doesn't necessarily have sex in it. I've written humorous romance stories, and I do that kind of thing under that one. And then under the Erica Lance, I've written some more paranormal and sci-fi-ish horror. Everybody dies in my book, so it doesn't. My horror books don't have happy endings. That's like the thing you can know about my horror books. But Bo, what about you? What's your favorite cover?
And I'm looking it up, so make sure you tell me.
Let's see. I'm going to choose the one that I have here, I guess. Well, they all kind of look pretty similar. It's always, I'm blurry.
Don't unblur, your background. We're recording.
Yeah.
It's
called
great.
The Beast Beside Me is what she's about to hold up.
Look. It's just like Naked Dude.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always that. It's either a naked dude or a naked lady. Wolf, forest. And I like my covers, but at the same time, I kind of wish they were a little less naked.
Yeah.
Just because for selling like in public spaces, because some people are embarrassed about buying their paranormal romance. So I kind of want to be like, it's okay. It's just like a paranormal book. You don't have to know that there's sex in here.
I never thought about that, but I guess that's true. Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess that's true. Do most people buy it online versus going into public?
I've done a couple. It depends on the venue, and it depends on like the audience, because it depends on if you're at like a romance convention, it sells like hotcakes.
Yeah.
But if you're at like a gaming convention, it doesn't sell so good because people don't want to be seen buying a book with a naked dude on it.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
You say that, Bo, but when I take for the conventions, the gaming conventions that we go to and stuff, like the nerd conventions, we sell a lot of the nerd books. But if I bring my Home on Whore Island, people buy that. I mean, it's I think it just depends. But the problem, of course, with covers again is like you look at Bo's book, you know it's a paranormal romance. Like in 2.5 seconds, you know that's a paranormal romance book.
Yeah.
And with the wolves, you go, this is a paranormal romance about werewolves. Like it, you know, it's kind of that thing versus if we put just a wolf on the cover howling and maybe a guy in a flannel shirt, like, you know, you wouldn't go, that's a paranormal romance. You'd be like, what is that book about?
You're like, who's that guy? What's with that dog?
Dude or dudette? So covers are an interesting little beast, isn't it? Get it, beast? Do you see what I did there, Bob?
I see what you did.
Hey, listeners, you know me, Erica Lance. You're just listening to me in the podcast that you had. But guess what? I'm doing something new.
Yeah, she's joining me, Mark Muncy, the author of the Erie, Florida book series in Erie, Appalachia. And we are hosting a new podcast called Erie Travels.
Woo-woo! Erie Travels, which covers things like ghosts, cryptids, weird stuff, UFOs, men in black, all kinds of fun things that people talk about, and I'm sure you've discussed with friends.
Yep, and you can listen to us on your favorite podcast platform of choice, or find us at erietravels.com and join in the fun and all the spooky goodness.
And of course, Mark, what do we always say?
We'll see you on the other side.
So you posted your book. What was that? What was it like when you got the book in your hands? I always love to hear from authors about what it was like the first time they got one of their books in their hot little hands.
Okay, so the first time I got the first book in my hands, it was pretty cool. You got the box and you obviously ordered more than you probably needed at the time. And I skimmed through it and I was like, oh, look at this. And I got to page 50. And for some reason, by publishing it on Amazon, there was like some weird break that it didn't show like when I did it. And even when I got the proof, it didn't show that. But when I got this, it was a huge break. And I thought, so you have to go back in there, you're fixing it, you're not wanting things to happen. So you're kind of a little deflated, right? Go into, 2 years later, I put in new covers, reformatted, re-edited it. And new books come out and I got that cover and I'm like, look at this little beauty here, all excited, right? First page, there's another break. I'm like, oh my God. Trash.
Oh my goodness.
But I do think it's exciting to say, you know what, I did this. So, and I don't think most people give enough credit for people when they do that, or we don't give ourselves enough credit, because at the end of the day, a lot of people have ideas, a lot of people want to do it, but not everybody goes out there and do it. So I think we should be more proud about those moments and just, relish and go, hey, this is what the first book now looks like. So,
no, totally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I think, the effort that it takes to do this, I think, is unknown by a lot of people, and to do it well, because there are little things that you have no idea, and you're like, how the heck did that happen? You know what I mean? So, no, I think that's good. Okay, other questions, my friend Bo?
What is the first line in the book?
In the latest book?
Whichever one you want.
She keeps asking this as if people have them memorized.
Yeah.
I assume they have the book.
I barely remember my. No, I will say this. So I met this author the other day, really neat person, and she writes poetry. And she spouted off her poem that was probably 4 pages long. I was like, how did you remember that? I barely remember my kids' names. The first line, actually, there's two. There's a prelude that says, "A house divided against itself cannot stand," which is by Abraham Lincoln. But the first line is, "A soldier's minute in battle is all you get. You get 1 minute of everything at once and 1 minute before it is nothing." Because I'm talking about war. So
I like that.
Line. What's your first line?
Oh God.
Oh,
Yeah, we're bringing it back. We're bringing it. Not just about me, girlfriend.
I hope it's not too sexy. Okay, let's see. It's only a little sexy. I discover him amidst the crush of bodies.
I like it.
First line.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well done.
There you go, Bo.
See, and I had my book right here. I was ready to go. I assume everyone's ready for that question. And has their book within reach.
I don't have that book right in front of me, but I can give you the line from my 72% match story.
Okay.
Yeah, do it.
Is that a penis on your phone? The name of the chapter is Unsolicited Dick Pics. Because anybody who's dated in the last, 10, 15 years probably has gotten an unsolicited dick.
Hey, listen, I'm glad I'm over that age and phase.
Yeah. Some of them are so interesting. That's what I'm going to say.
They're interesting. They're interesting.
Interesting. So
okay, I got a question.
Yeah.
Tell me your negative review that stuck with you.
Oh, my favorite. I actually have a favorite negative review.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. Here's the thing I think about reviews is reviews are for readers. I say this all the time on the show. Yeah. And sometimes I read negative reviews in the, not for my books, but I've seen them where it's because the author didn't get it edited or something like that. And you can, this is political. But my favorite was I released a short story called Jimmy. And I think it's on Kindle Unlimited. You can buy it anyway. It's like a 10,000 word story. It's also in one of my short story collections. But it is about a kid who tried to commit suicide and wakes up in the hospital, and his, he had failed to do it and was, had his upset parents, but he was more upset that he was in that circumstance because this was what he wanted to do. Yeah. Right. But it is a sort of Sixth Sense kind of ghost story. And I'm not going to give more than that. But one of the reviews was Erica Lance is an author who promotes suicide. And I was like, and because it had been in an anthology and with other stories, and the person reviewed every single story. And what was funny is she was actually negative about every single story except for one. Yeah. And that one story that she was not negative about, I actually know the back history to the story, which was this was supposed to be a 10,000 word story. The author who submitted that story submitted 30,000 words, made the editor cut down the story.
Yeah.
The story didn't make a lot of sense. The editor did her best, but the story literally to me did not make a lot of sense. Like it was hard to read, and it was a ghost story. This wasn't a horror anthology. It happened to be a ghost story and probably would have made a beautiful novel. But, a short story has to really be there's a way to write a short story so you don't leave your audience going, where are we? What the hell is happening? And so that was the only one in the whole book she liked. And so when I got that and I read it and then read the rest of the reviews, because I'd read all the stories, I was like, this is not my reader. But I thought that was really funny in a way, because it was like, Erica Lance supports suicide. No, that's not the point of the story.
They missed the point. It just went right over their head.
But, another person wrote a noir detective story from the 1920s. And she said, this story is based in 1950, whatever. And it wasn't. It was the 1920s. I was like, did she actually read any of these? Was she maybe drinking when she did? I don't know. Anyway. But what about you? Have you had any bad reviews?
Oh, yeah. I had a recent review in the for this book I launched. And remember, reviews are hard to get. You can ask your friends. You can ask family. They don't do it. And you're like, why? Do you like the book? If you don't, just tell me what did you think? But I had somebody go, this is just too over the top. I'm like, it's fiction.
Well, it's allowed to be.
I've seen reviews
and I was like, thank you.
Romance books that say there's a lot of kissing in this book. It literally says romance on the cover.
No,
what did you think was going to happen?
I did have a review on, I can't remember which book, but this woman wrote, I mean, her review was longer than my book. And then she went on to do blog specials on it. I mean, just she was, whatever reason, she hated this book. And my husband's like, well, what do you think that is? I said, I don't know. Maybe I slept with her husband or her, her father or somebody. I mean, I can't tell you, babe. But she hated it. She made sure she told everybody. So,
and the thing about it is, it's like reviews of restaurants and things like that. And then, Bo, you have to tell us yours. I've talked about this review before, but a friend of mine sent it to me from Yelp, and it summed up reviews perfectly for me. It was a restaurant. The food was amazing. The service was excellent. The lime in my Moscow Mule was not as fresh as it could be. 1 star.
Yeah.
That sums up people's review process perfectly. Because if you're going to judge an entire restaurant on a lime,
then you don't.
Yeah. So, but what about you? What was one of yours? And then we're going to do our favorite positive reviews because we should temper this with the good. Go ahead.
Mine was a 3-star review, which is not bad. It was fine, but the comment was that they couldn't give it more than that because the characters acted in a way that they did not agree with, morally speaking.
Well, bless her heart.
Well, how dare you not write to their morals?
I know. That's a thing in the romance genre, like in general, like that happens a lot. If you have cheating, if you have characters sleeping with more than one person, those kind of things readers can get really upset about, and then you're going to get bad reviews. And I decided when I wrote that book that I didn't care.
Yeah.
But I clearly do care because I remember the review. But I try not to care.
Hey, it's just a 3-star. At least you didn't get the 1.
I do have 1 star, and they didn't even write anything.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, what?
What irritated you so much? Yeah. No, I just got my first 1 star, so I was like, oh, well, look, I got all the stars now. That's great.
I've earned them all.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about positive reviews in a moment, but. The thing is about reviews, I say, is if you have a strong enough skin, read your reviews. If you're not going to take it personally, read your reviews. The only time you should care is if people are specifically going over, like, the tenses are changing all the time, or, there's
that's constructive.
Yeah,
too. Like you can do something about it.
Yeah, like, the character switched names 5 times. I couldn't follow it. Like, there are things that you can go, oh, did I do that in the book? You know what I mean? But if it's just their opinion on the book, unless every single one of them says it's too slow, right? If you get 40 reviews and they all say it's too slow, maybe you want to look at rewriting your book a little bit, or maybe you don't give a shit. It's fine. But don't take the opinions. And if it will bother you, just don't read the reviews because they're not for you.
Yeah.
Okay, your favorite Michele positive review.
Okay, hold on. Let me see. I have a picture of it. This is from actually a fellow author who was one of my ARC readers. Let's see. It's pretty long, but let me just read the last part.
Okay.
It's by my character. Maddie's a new and improved Captain America with the flexibility and authority to do what needs to be done, decisively and with more than a touch of tongue-in-cheek humor. The difference between Maddie and Captain A is that Maddie can actually lead a team, and she doesn't need a shield. And I thought, I like that.
Wow, that's awesome, though.
You're thinking there. What are you thinking there, Erica?
Well, I just think, is she a superhero, or do they just say Captain? She's not a superhero.
No, she's not a superhero, but you know what? Yeah, she's governmentally trained, and she's kind of like, do you remember when, so in the Jason Bourne series, who's the guy that was not Matt Damon, the other one that played the next series, the one that just got crushed by the
Jeremy Renner.
Yes. So remember, he's in the last version, and they say how he's created, and he's taking these pills and stuff. She's a little mixture of that. She's created from birth, and she's meant to be basically to eradicate bad genes. So at the end, you'll realize that, it's our pharmaceutical. They don't want to cure you. They want you to continue to be relying on, pharmaceutical drugs. So, but she is definitely, higher IQ, physical, because she's been trained and, developed, and, they've invested a lot of money in her.
Like super soldier kind of.
Yeah. Like
Captain America. Yeah.
Do you guys remember the Universal Soldier movie? I love that movie. It's got Dolph Lundgren and I do know that movie.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. I can see the picture of it. I don't know if I think I would have watched it back then, but I can see the picture of the cover.
It's hilarious.
It's a funny movie, but there's a scene where their backsides are exposed. Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, Bo, what about your favorite review?
I actually pulled it up, and I'll just read the first line because it tickled me. Danger, love, lust, rage, heartbreak, and suspense. I felt all of those things.
Oh, that's great.
Wow, I love that. Mine is one from Amazon for Erica Lance, not Dahlia Lance. And there's a couple on Dahlia Lance that I really like, because in the books I give whore tips, but they're really tips about how to be.
Hey, my husband wants you to send those to me.
I can buy the book. But a lot of the tips are about being self-assured and doing what you want and being comfortable in your skin and stuff like that. A lot of it's around sex, but it's, because I think that's one area a lot of people can get pushed into doing things that they don't want to do and not feel comfortable about the things they do want to do and stuff. So there's over 100 whore tips in each book. But so I've had a couple of really good reviews about those as far as, building confidence in people. But my favorite review ever says Erica is an author that likes to punch you in the fucking face. This is
on. Get that on a T-shirt.
Yeah,
it should be we should make a T-shirt, Bo, that says Erica's. It is my favorite. It's a 5-star review, but because my stories do not have happy endings, he was like, when he read,
not like the ending.
Yeah, well, I think he wasn't prepared for it. Like, that's one thing I've heard a lot about my stories is that I think people are expecting a happy ending. They expect it to go this way and then it goes left. And because a lot of times when I've read them publicly, I end up with the audience, at the end, usually people, they clap, whatever. People are like this.
Great. Thanks.
It takes the pregnant pause of that was it. Okay. So
hey, listen, I ended a book on a cliffhanger, and they don't like that either.
No, but I think you have every right. I call it Empire Strikes Backing.
Yeah, but that's kind of the reason why I did it. So I do think you got to write for. There's one thing about writing for. Well, I guess it's your ultimate objective. I write for what I like to write. And then I have to wonder if there's a marketability and what can I do with that?
Well, and that's kind of the best. I think that's one of the best ways to do it. A lot of authors have started writing to market, and they figure out, and then they go, oh, somebody wants a gypsy book with Batman in it. And then they go write that book and publish it. I'm just making up stuff. I know you'd love that book, Bo, but I'm not writing it.
It sounds pretty cool.
I have to let it go though, because I'm not writing it. But there are people that definitely write to market, but I think there are, I love it when an author's writing what they love to write about, and then they find their fan base, right?
Yeah.
Because again, especially as you're breaking genres and you're breaking norms, your fans are out there. And I say this all the time to people. There's a fan for every single book.
I
and
agree.
some of your fans don't even know they're your fans yet. So they're going to have to test the waters to go, oh, I like this because the only thing they've been fed is Tom Clancy. And that's all you, that's all you've got. Not only him.
Well,
he's not a bad author,
and I've seen this with author friends of mine that have written in different genres and they're querying and they're getting the, hey, thanks, but we can't, basically we can't make money off this. I've been in, talks with some different, I would love to see my book be a mini series or something like that. And they're like, can you make it more diverse? And I was like, I don't know how I can make it more diverse than what I already have. I have everything in there, but because they just want to market to, so I do think there's a push that, people are saying we need to have this, more inclusive of everybody. So I think everybody's going to have to figure out how they want to handle that.
Yeah, no. And here's the thing is that I feel is a problem with mainstream publishers. They decide to try to think what that audience wants. Yeah. And
versus letting the audience dictate it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we published a book, and I'm going to just give an example. I love giving this example because his book is, to me, hysterical. So it is a male erotic high fantasy book that involves an orc and a human. And it is about 120,000 words long, I think, like 120,000. It's a book series.
Yeah.
And, of course, this is turned down at every publisher you can imagine, right? That goes, no, I can't do anything. He competes with himself as the bestseller list on Amazon with his books. They are so widely loved and so widely received. And, fans just absolutely adore these books because it's a great action adventure series. It's a wonderful romance series between these things. And you go, if you went to a traditional publisher and pitched this, you wouldn't even get the words past orc out of your mouth.
Yeah.
They would tell you out the door. But I don't think they're listening to what people are doing. And you see things like Webtoons and Yonder and some of these other apps that are like, no, we're not going to go this traditional. We're going to find the stuff. Like they have a huge amount of stuff on Yonder that has to do with demons, like cutesy, cozy, romancy, steamy demon human romance stuff, which if you said, hey, I want to write a romance book with a demon, but he's not like human, he's literally a demon and all this other stuff, they would go, no, but it sells. Again, 2.3 million books, 50,000 books.
Yeah.
And their books are not selling hugely. I think less than 65% I sell more than 1,000 books.
Yeah.
So they're not wowing anybody right now. I think it's wonderful. And I think you should just keep tweaking and find that audience that you need to find.
Well, and here's where, whether it be the algorithms of social media or Amazon or, I'm taking all my books back wide. I had them wide at first. And, I did that KDP with Amazon and they kicked me off for a year because they found one book that I failed to take off Apple, which I thought I did, but I guess I didn't because being an independent author, I'm doing all of it. All right. I'm having to put them on, change this, change that. And I'm like so many different sites, having to remember everything. But now you see so many pirated books out there of mine. I mean, I saw something promoted the other day where somebody was trying to sell my book for $45. And I thought, God bless them if they can get it. I hope they can, because they figured out the algorithms and everything else. And the part of what I write about is conspiracies of just that. The three of us can be sitting here and we can all type in our browsers, what is your favorite? And all three of ours are going to have three different answers, And I think that is a problem because it's not allowing us to, it's making the decisions for us versus us having to make decisions. We can talk about Chat GPT or all this stuff. And, my son uses it at college and I'm like, hey, listen, if you're not learning it, and that's writing it for you, you're never, getting this information. This goes back to everything though. So even with the algorithms of how we market books and how we do things, it's all changing. And it changes all the time, because it's telling us what to think versus when to think about something. So now we're having to say, okay, how do we do this? How do we outsmart this? So I don't know.
No, I agree. I think, and that's part of finding your author voice on social media and your platform and your newsletter and your public events that you do and stuff like that. Because I think it takes finding ways to break through the stuff that's true. Because books that are traditional, I think, are fantastic. Like, you write sweet hockey romance, go team. But the audience is established for sweet hockey romance. It's just you getting your book in front of that audience, right? Versus going, I'm gonna create the audience kind of for this book because they don't know it's even there. They don't even know it's an option, right? Which, that's what I love about going to events and conventions and book things and finding new authors, because a lot of times, especially self-published, they'll wow you with what that book is about that they wrote.
I found probably the most beneficial, and it's from all genres, is just learning the different trade secrets. Okay, we do this. And I'm like, oh, okay. Never even heard of that. That's great. Versus, there's tons of books out there, this big, how to market your book, how to do this, how to do that. But it's having that one-on-one, conversation. Us sitting here, I'm already making mental notes. Hey, I need to go do this. I need to learn horror tactics. So you know what I mean? I think it's an important element that we're all created for connection, Yeah. So it helps. It helps in all aspects of your life.
And if you're not doing it, but one thing that would be great is to find other people that write similar genre to what you're writing. You do newsletter swaps.
Oh yeah, no, we do that. And here's the thing. So I've been now, I probably read about at least a book a week. I try to. I try to be supportive out there, and I read in all genres. Good friend of mine's a big romance writer, and she does the paranormal, Celtic romance. And okay, I'll tell you right now, romance probably not my first genre choice, but I read it because I support her, and I laugh because now I'm invested in the characters, and I get to the scenes, I'm like, does that really happen? Okay, that's pretty funny. I think there's a little bit of probably a balance here too. I've been supporting, indie authors, but I also have to look at the traditional authors and think, okay, what are they doing? And how can I piggyback that? Or what can I do? What can, And I think it's also the thing most people don't do is just ask, hey, what do you do? Because they're too embarrassed, or they're too self-conscious, or they're thinking, I don't want to bother them, or, you know what I mean?
It's I don't want to bother them. Believe it or not, most people, when it comes to authors, we're celebrities. Like, most authors don't own that. And, you just laugh. We're celebrities. So they go, oh my gosh, I can't approach that person. Like, I can't tell you how many fans I've talked to that I end up, they're like, oh my gosh, I heard blah, blah's here. And I go, well, let's go meet them. And they're like, oh,
no.
They would, trust me, they're sitting at their table. They'd love to talk to you. Let's go.
Okay. So listen, we have a little neighborhood book club. We have like 1,000 people in our neighborhood. And it's a little bit older demographics in my neighborhood. And they're doing this book, and it's by an author that's here in Colorado. And I know her. And I said, hey, I know she selected her book. How about I bring the author to your book club? And she's got, 10,000 reviews. She's published, traditional published, got all kinds. And they're like, no. And I thought, why wouldn't you want the author at your book club? And it's kind of just like, oh no, it was too overwhelming. Like, oh no, we can't have her. I'm like, okay. Thought you would have liked it, but okay.
No, it's totally a weird thing when you try to do that, because again, it's a celebrity, and a lot of times people are like unnerved.
Oh yeah.
This whole podcast started with us trying to do a book club, and the author showed up for the first day. It was called Critical Drinking. We were going to do a book club and have wine, and the author showed up to the first one, and it was like,
oh,
now what the fuck do we do?
Yeah.
So we talked to the author, happened a second time. I'm like, okay, never mind. Let's just invite the authors and let's talk to them about their stuff. So much fun.
Now, here's the flip side. So I sent out a little newsletter after I launched my book, and I showed the Amazon ratings where I hit #1. Now, it's probably for 5 minutes, could have been an hour, maybe a day, right? That doesn't matter. I got bragging rights. I even said, hey, I got bragging rights. Look who I beat out, these famous authors. And I have other people to go, and I'm like, have you bought the book? And they're like, well, no, but you're doing so well. And I'm like, you realize I'm still operating as a nonprofit, essentially, right? Just because I beat out this person for a limited period of time. But it's the perception then of like, oh, you're an author. Then you got to be selling millions of books. And I'm like, oh, wouldn't that be great?
No, and it's you mentioned friends and family, and then we have to wrap up in just a minute. So we're going to do shameless self-promotion. But I have friends that are so uber supportive of what I do. There's a group of them that are, buy my books, read my books, enjoy my books, talk about people about my books, blah, blah, blah. But the majority of people don't. I mean, my dad, for instance, is one of my biggest fans when it comes to the Home on Her Island books, to the point where he'll talk to his friends when I'm there. And it's my daughter, and she's the one that wrote that book. I'm like, okay, this is the book we're talking about. Can't talk about the horror books, but we can talk about the horror books. So it's, but a lot of them aren't necessarily don't read the books, don't do that. And, the first couple of books, I was like, you got to do that. And then I stopped going, you know what, if you're going to I'm going to let you know, because you're going to see it on Facebook or whatever that I got it. But if you're not that person to do it, I'm not going to push. I'm not going to bother doing that, because I'd rather find my audience who actually wants to read my books.
Yeah, I want people that are invested in me. Yeah.
Awkward. So awkward going, did you review my book?
Hello, Drinking with Authors fans. This is your host, Erica Lance. Because of the change of the format of the show, welcome to the literary briefs portion. Enjoy.
Okay, rapid fire questions. Here we go. You ready?
Gotta hope.
Favorite book of all time.
Easy questions, man.
What is your favorite book of all time?
Favorite book of all time. I don't have just one favorite book.
Give us 3 of your favorites.
Listen, I mean, and if I did, it's probably not a book that's wide known. I love the science sci-fi military series by Trip Ainsworth. It is raunchy, laugh out loud humor. It's called Smoke Pit Fairy Tales. It's great. Damian Larkin, who's another sci-fi military author, he's got a Blood Red and a new book coming out, or Big Red, and great series. So favorite book of all time, I can't really say there's just one. I enjoy them all. So there's rarely a book that I don't like.
Okay, what is your least favorite book?
Well, let's say, I think, you know what? I'm going to remember what it is, because I'm that type person, whether it be a book or even a TV series. If I get into 2 chapters and I don't like it, that's it. I won't do it. Now, here's something I do that people, they can't stand. I always read the last chapter first.
Actually, one of our co-hosts does that.
Yeah.
She reads it because she had a character die in one of the books she read that she didn't want. She's not a fan of the lead characters dying. Yeah. So she always reads to see if the character's still there at the end.
That's not the reason why I do it. I do it because I want to see how they get to the end. And that's what I'm saying. So if it's a book and I read 3 chapters and I've already read the last chapter and I'm like, I already figured it out. I'm like, nope. Out.
No, that makes sense. Okay. What about if you could have lunch with any author, dead or alive, who would it be?
No, I'd have to say James Patterson.
Oh, how come?
Well, I think because I've read so many books of his from my dad growing up. And I had one of those review services, and they compared my writing to his style. And I thought, hey, I like that. I can live with that. That's good. So for top of my head, I'd say him.
I like it. It. Bo, what is your first question, my friend?
What is your favorite book to movie adaptation?
That's a hard one too. And listen, I've watched so many different shows. I'm trying to think of, just current ones or old ones. I think with the kids, they all did, I remember reading with them at the same time, the Divergent series. Mm-hmm. And I read all the books because they had to read them before school. And I thought they did a pretty good job on that. There's definitely some changes, but for that level, I thought it was good.
What about least favorite?
Least favorite. I forgot that one.
Oh God. I just saw something recently too, and I was like, oh, you know what? This people aren't going to like this. The Jack Ryan. And the reason why is in the original Jack Ryan, I don't know if everybody's seen, if you read the books, he was a normal CIA analyst. He wasn't this Navy SEAL. He can do everything now. Where they have John, what's his name, Krasinski or whatever.
John Krasinski. Yeah.
And I love him. Don't get me wrong. He's great. He does great in the show. But in the original books, he was a CIA analyst. He wasn't this, he can do everything. Now he can shoot a gun and he doesn't miss anybody. I'm like, oh God. So, no. and I am definitely that type of viewer that if I'm watching the movie and I've read the book, I'm like, oh God, why? Nobody wants to watch movies beside me because I'm commenting the whole time.
No. You got to treat it like fan fiction. Because you never fit a book into a movie. Yeah. Okay. Who would you cast as your lead character?
I would say probably Jennifer Lawrence. Oh. And the reason why is she's done similar type with Red Sparrow or something like that. Blake Lively would be great because she probably have a little bit more of that comedic, but also the sexy, I've always wanted to be taller, so that'd be great too. And I joke around. The character wanted to be taller.
I was about to say, why did you cast her? Well, I wanted to be taller.
Yeah. So it'd have to be somebody that is spirited, but it can also just play off the comedic role too.
I like that. What is your favorite writer snack that you like to eat while you're writing?
Well, I probably don't eat or drink. I don't like when I'm writing. I don't have music on. It's got to be quiet. And but if I had to say a snack, probably that Czech mix that's got like the nuts and everything in it, where you just
so salty, savory.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm a Texas gal originally, so I'm more of a chips and salsa, queso. Throw a little guac. I'm really happy.
Did you practice your signature at all when you went to start signing books?
No, and you know what? You could definitely tell on my first book I had a sign on my hand was just shaking. It was that first book ever, and it was for a friend of mine. Because I started overthinking it. How do I sign this?
So. That's very, very funny, actually. Okay.
Did you practice yours? Did you practice yours? Yeah.
Yes. But I come from a sort of epic planning background. And I also, and we talk about this too, we come up with little slogans to write in your book. Like, like one of the ones I write for Dahlia Lance is Welcome to Whore Island. And I'll sign it. And then, so apparently a big thing, which I didn't even know, which I've now started doing, is signing, dating, and sometimes putting where they got the book.
Oh,
because, and not like the exact date, but if you put the year and stuff like that, when you're really, really famous, those books will be worth more because somebody got them before.
See, this famous. Is why we do these podcasts, the things that you learn.
Yes.
That's great. I love that.
So you have to come up with 3 or 4 things that you write in the book, like, that are just sayings. Because I think people like those, Yeah. It's always interesting.
Mine's more seize the day, So.
And asking people, do you want it personalized? I kind of hate asking that because I'm sometimes terrible in the moment of knowing how to write their name. And even when they spell it out for me, sometimes like my mind, they spell it and then it goes completely blank. And I'm like, what did they do?
What's your name again?
Ralph? What did you say? Bo?
I'm trying to see what a good question is. What is your Starbucks order?
Triple venti, non-fat, 1 sweet and low latte.
Delicious. Good choice.
But I'll tell you this. We store, so I have twins, and we order Starbucks every day, right? And I mean, we were there the first person in the morning because my kids got up at 4:30 in the morning. We didn't realize a train was going past, and I was waking up every morning at 4:30. I just thought they were possessed, right? I was like, there's something wrong with these kids. I mean, they never sleep. So 6 o'clock in the morning, we were there. They knew our order. And this is right when credit card agencies started giving you your total at the end of the year. And we saw how much we spent at Starbucks. And I was like, oh.
You're like, oh, we need to stop doing Starbucks. Like,
because we got one, then we got the banana nut bread, and then we get the kids a little something to snack on. Yeah. So I it's only once in a while that I go there now. What's your order?
Mine is
what's in your coffee right now?
Mine is usually a chai tea latte with a shot of espresso. And I generally get it every single day because I have really young kids.
That's the reason.
It's like my one little joy in the day, like the thing I have to look forward to get up out of bed for.
now, how old are your little ones?
I have a 10-year-old, a 10-year-old. He's almost 10. 6-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah, you keep that Starbucks up, girlfriend. Just keep going.
Yeah, I am not looking at how much I spend. I'm just going to do it. It's an expense. It's called mental health care. Like,
yeah, I agree.
My tea.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree on that too. I like the dirty chai she talks about. And then I get a latte with no foam. I'm a huge fan of saying the no foam on the lattes.
I agree, because then you get more.
Yeah, they give me too much foam. There's too much foam in the world. I can't take that much foam. Too much. Bo, look at all this opportunity I'm giving you.
I know it's weird. I don't know how to handle it. What is your desert island book?
Well, let's see. It wouldn't be a cookbook. Desert island book. You know what? I'm going to have to say something like a Dr. Seuss book or something, because I think, if I'm by myself, I don't want to read something that's, too romance, because, that ain't happening. I don't want to read a horror because, I'm on an island by myself. I'm already probably scared. I wouldn't even want to read my own thrillers because, what's the point? I think I'd have to just go with the happy, just something, or maybe, how many drinks can you make with coconut juice? I don't know.
I think I'd read Shel Silverstein. I bought those books for my granddaughter recently, the poetry books, where the sidewalk ends, because they make me laugh. I think that's what I do. No, I do Bimbos of the Death Son. I already know that. Okay. So
Jeff's book would be good.
Yeah. What about things you talked about being able to figure things out. Are there any other like pet peeves you have in writing that you find yourself and you're like, nope?
Well, I think just talk with my other friends, and maybe I'm not looking at this the right way. Sometimes they're when we're all discussing, kind of doing our own critique group, they're like, I forgot to put this part in about the mother. And I was like, you overanalyze stuff sometimes, like you got to put this, and this in. And I think we think that the reader's actually dumber than what maybe they are. And maybe they are. I don't know. Because sometimes I think we give in too many details. Like, that's not necessary. Let them figure that out, like, why was that there? The pointless, pointless detail, but sometimes they're needed to build the character and sometimes they're not. So
yeah, no, agreed. So do you finish books or will you put them down? Like if you started, will you finish them?
No, if I like there's something I don't like reading, or do you mean writing?
Yeah.
No, if there's something I'm reading, if there's something I'm reading and I don't like it, I'll put it down. I have no problem going. I'm not one of those to say, hey, I've got to read it just to see what happens. Cause I'm like, And listen, I mean, I kind of, I read this article the other day and I thought it was very poignant in terms of what it said. It said, if you've distributed your book, why? And I've done the free booksies and stuff like that. And you're not getting the reviews you're wanting or expecting. There's several reasons. One, people might not have just liked your book. Or two, they're on somebody's Kindle that's, they're getting all these free books. There's 500 books on that Kindle. They haven't been read. Or, three, they do like them, but they're just not that, so they kind of just gave a list of things. And I thought, that's kind of right, and after, I think there's a certain period of time where we all have to self-evaluate. Again, what is your motivation and why are you doing this? Are you doing this to fulfill, that you're accomplishing something? Are you doing it for notoriety? Are you doing it for monetary reasons? I've been fortunate. I'm just doing it because I enjoy doing it. And I love the people that I've met. So I take it for what it is. And then I try to tweak it. And then we'll see how it goes in terms of me personally writing. I mean, how far I'll go. I got one more in this series and then we'll see what the next project will be.
That's very.
So that was a twofold. That was a twofold answer. What I read and what I'll write.
No, I like it. Bo?
Do you generally outline your books or do you just go for it?
Well, twofold. So because mine are all based off current conspiracies, you'll see on my notes where I'll write down. Hold on, I'll give you an example. So this starts off. My first note was, this book has to be over a Christmas period because all great movies happen at Christmas. You're thinking Christmas Story, Die Hard, all the movies, The Holiday. And then my first note to myself was, the bigger the lie, the more people will believe it. So then so these are my notes that I've written. Now, remember, everything is based off whatever happens in a given day. So if there's a song that I like, I make the note about it. If there's a book that I've read that something happened, I put the note on. If there's something that happened in politics, I put the note on it. So then I have, at the end of the day, I have enough material for the next book. And I already know where I want the ending to be. So now then I'll go out and do an outline of just very simplistic. I want it to be about between 30 and 40 chapters. And I'll write out what the chapters I think that they're going to be. And inevitably, I will change from that when I start writing it. Mm-hmm. So I'd say I call it a loose outline. I don't do what some of my friends go into detail. And I'm like, oh, that's longer than my book.
Some people write ridiculous outlines.
Oh, yeah. Right. And more power to them. I mean, that whatever works for them, that's great. For me, we're going to wing it. And I mean, that's, probably part of the charm of the book. So at least I hope so.
Very cool. What about, what is your favorite weird food combination?
Weird food combination. Well, let's see. Okay. I'm, what I consider a Texas gal, even though I live now here in Colorado. I don't know if I have a weird food combination. Well, I'll say this. I don't eat any fruit at all. Disgusts me. Can't stand looking at it.
Any fruit?
None. I mean, I drink fruit like grapes, but no fruit. It's a texture thing. It's a seeds. It's the skin. But I can eat an oyster, so it makes no sense. I mean, why I could do that but not eat fruit?
That's very weird.
Yeah, very weird. Peaches, I gag smelling them. So in terms of weird fruit, I mean, I don't know if I have a weird combination because there's so much that I don't eat.
No, weird food.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know because I don't eat a lot of this stuff. I don't know if I have a weird food combination.
Weird food is generally when you're eating the thing that the people around you go, why are you eating that?
No, but see, I don't think anybody thinks that, because remember, I don't eat any of this stuff, because they're probably more thinking you're weird because you don't eat it. You know, I won't eat ceviche. I won't eat, it's a smell. There's a lot of therapy probably needed here. A lot of therapy.
Well, okay. What about where's a place you want to vacation to? Like if there was cost was no thing, where would you want to go?
Okay. So in 007, James Bond, he went to Montenegro. And I thought, I've always wanted to go there. And we were fortunate to go on a trip to Italy. And I thought, oh, if we could only go over there. But we couldn't. But I've always wanted to go there just from the movie. I always thought it'd be cool. What about you?
Oh, me? I'm actually going there. So I wanted to go to Ireland and Scotland, and I'm going in August. So, because I'm heavily Irish descent, so I'm excited to go see that. What about you, Bo?
I really want to go to like the UK, which is, I have never been, well, I've been to like overseas to like Japan, but I've never been to like Europe area. And so I'd like to go visit there. Maybe Italy.
You need to do it. You need to do it.
I do enjoy the UK. Yes. We talked about throwing that in the middle of the trip, but I think we're sticking to the Ireland, Scotland for this time around. Mm-hmm. We'll go to the UK another time, do an Erie Travels from there. Okay. So what is a genre you haven't written in yet that you want to?
I think I would do something maybe sports related. Okay. Maybe a sports fiction book. I think there's I used to be the chair mom, chair president. Oh. First of all, I can't put my hair in a ponytail. I couldn't help my kid out if life depended on it, right? But somehow I ended up being the chair president. So I think there's a lot of fun stories that you can do with that. Not like that Navarro cheer or whatever it is on TV, but there are crazy stories like that. But the kids play football, baseball and something. So there's always something there, and there's always those little going, did that really happen? And you're like, they're 6, y'all. They're 6.
Wow. Okay.
Let the children have fun.
So maybe not necessarily just as sports, but maybe more of a just a kind of a parenting, kind of tongue in cheek, hey y'all, get over it. You're a copy mom.
Well, that would be cool.
They'd be humorous too. Definitely humorous.
I would have no doubt. Okay, Bo, do you have a final question?
When and where do you do your best writings?
In the morning. I have a little office out of my bedroom that I'm in. And I would say it's probably, it's not necessarily always morning. I'd say it's probably from 1 to, I'd say from 11 to 1, where I get I'm in my zone that I want to do something. But I'm also not one of those people that, and maybe I should, write every day. I write when I'm encouraged to write, I'm like, hey, this is a great idea. I need to put this down. So.
Yeah, no, that's a good timing. Okay. Any final advice you would give to an author that is starting out there?
Yes. Do just a tad bit of research first. Writing the book is one thing. To be able to edit, market, publicize, and find out what your really goal is. Meet fellow authors in your genre, like you said. Meet fellow authors that are not in your genre. And I really do think that's to give perspective on all of it. Because at the end of the day, we all have different, as a reader, things that we enjoy. So not everybody just reads this, So to learn how to appeal to your reader, you almost have to realize that they change also, and they have different seasons in their life. So I would say just talk to people first, get involved, and kind of learn from other people's mistakes.
I like it. Okay, shameless self-promotion time. Where do people find you in your books?
Okay, I'm on Amazon. I'm on Kobo, Apple, Barnes & Noble. You can go to michelepackard.com, my website. For Instagram, he has AESOP stories. And the reason why it's AESOP is because people always said that I was a storyteller. I thought they were exaggerating, but apparently it's stuck. You'll notice this little montage of pictures in the back. That was really what started my first book. These are all the pictures, this is old days because they actually gave you physical pictures. Now you have them on your phone. And I found them all on my desk. So I covered up this beautiful picture and put those in front of it. So when I started looking at this, I realized there's a story there. It's kind of like The Unusual Suspects. Remember Kevin Spacey at the end? He's looking at something and you realize he's been storytelling. And that was the genesis of how this started. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Well, it was so much fun having you on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, lovely ladies. It's been a pleasure to meet y'all.
Absolutely. Guys, this has been Drinking with Authors, the Literary Briefs edition. I've been your host, Erica Lance. Do not forget to hit the like, subscribe, and feel free to comment. We'd love to hear from you. My co-host today has been the amazing Bo Lake. Our guest has been Michele Packard, and we will see you guys next time.
Thank you so much.